In this video, I want to share 5 tips with you on helping you to grow and mature and maximizing your manhood as a man, and we're starting right now. Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to Man Talk Live. I'm your host, Walter Strong, where we share helpful tips to inspire men like yourself to raise the standard of manhood in your life so you can be a great husband, a devoted father, and a man of integrity. And so if you're new here this morning, let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live. And if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag Team Replay in the comments section. And so this morning, we are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. We are live on LinkedIn this morning as we are excited, ready to grab a pen and a pad, get in this content and this topic discussion on helping you as a man in 2025 to maximize your manhood. Now, when I talk about maximizing your manhood, I'm not talking about maximizing your manhood below your waist. I'm talking about maximizing your manhood regarding your character. I'm talking about maximizing your manhood and you learning how to be a great husband. I'm talking about maximizing your manhood and being a devoted father. I'm talking about maximizing your character by maximizing your manhood as a man and not below your waist. And so if that's what you're interested in, that's what you know you need in your life today as a man, you are in the right place. So without further ado, let's get into the topic. Let's get into the content on helping you to maximize your manhood as a man. This message, maximize manhood, it's not a new message. It's not a new message, but it's a message that was shared decades ago by the late, great Edwin Lewis Cole, the founder of the Christian Men's Network, where he would go from church to church to encourage men to be men of integrity, to be men who had character, to be men who were faithful in their relationships with their wives and with their wives and their children. So when we talk about maximizing manhood, I'm gonna say it again. We're not talking about maximizing your manhood below your waist. We're talking about maximizing your manhood in your heart so you can be a man who is dependable, who has the qualities of a good man that your family values you being in their life. So without further ado, let's get into the content. And like I said, wherever you're watching me from, let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live as we get started with this content. And so the message of maximize manhood, which was originally shared by the late Edwin Lewis Cole, who was the founder of the Christian Men's Network in 1997, released his book and he shared about the principles on how we as men could maximize our manhood. He would later go on in 1997 to create a whole curriculum and go across this country and even throughout the world on the message of manhood, maximizing your manhood, and that how manhood and Christ-like, being Christ-like as a Christian believer, was synonymous with a man. His message and mission was simple: helping to build the character of men. Not only to help build the character of men, but to help build churches, because he understood that churches were never intent to be established and built in our communities just to be filled with women, just to be filled with mothers and sisters in the church, but they were supposed to be filled with man and woman, husband and wife, mother and father, raising a family. And so the importance of building the church had to start first with building the man. And then as the church was built and developed, the culture of this nation was developed. I'll say it again. It starts with the man, then the family, building the church and the community and our culture. Unfortunately, when you look at today's culture in this world that we live here in the US, when we look at the state of our culture in terms of how negative in places that it is, it's because the man is not in his right place. And when a man is not in his right place, the wife is displaced. When a man is not in his right place, the woman and the children are displaced. I want you to think about that for a moment. If we're going to talk about maximizing manhood, we got to start with, as men, us being in our rightful place. Too many of our men are missing in action. I'm talking about the men in the church. I'm not even talking about the men outside the church. But too many of our men are missing in action. You may go to and attend church, but you are not a part and planted in a church. You may attend church and listen to the praise and worship and give an offering and listen to the word. But once church is over, you go home and you watch the game, whether if the game is football or the basketball game. And so as a result, we see the condition of our culture and why men are not in their right place and women and children are displaced. And so the message of maximizing your manhood is about helping me and you to grow and mature as men. That was the mission for the late Edwin Lewis Cole. And so as we move forward, I want to get into these tips on helping you as a man to maximize your manhood. I want you to think about how construction work is done on a building or on a project. As men, we are men who are under construction. If we're going to maximize our manhood, we have to understand we have to be men who are under construction. We are a work in progress. None of us are perfect, but we should be striving for maturity. I'll say that again. None of us are perfect. We are a work in progress, but we should be striving for maturity. We should be aiming for excellence. We should be pressing, as the Bible says, towards the mark of the high calling in Christ Jesus, according to Philippians 3:14. So how do you maximize your manhood? It starts first with your character. It starts first with your character. Are you a person who has good, strong character? Because too many of us, we buy into the philosophy and the mindset and mentality that the quality of a strong man, a good man, is based upon his abilities, what he's able to do and how well he's able to do it. But that's based upon in terms of what you can do and perform. But maximizing your manhood is about building and developing your character. And when you have poor, weak character, regardless of how talented you may be, regardless of how well you may be able to perform at work, regardless of how well you may be able to perform at home in doing certain tasks that you do at home, regardless of how much you can perform in the bedroom. We're going there today. We are going there today here on Man Talk Live. Regardless of how well you feel you can perform in the bedroom, if you have poor, weak character, you are a man still, as a man who's still under construction. You are still a work in progress. Because when people trust me and you with things that are important, or we are trusted to share a particular message, it's not based upon our abilities. It's based upon our character. And so the question then becomes, how do you build and develop your character so you can maximize your manhood? It goes back to Genesis 1:26, where the Bible tells me God said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. And man had the responsibility through the command of the word of God to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish, to subdue, and have dominion over the earth. And so because we're created in the image, in the likeness of God, we have to look to him to help build and develop our character. We have to look to him by spending time in reading the Bible. We have to look to him by spending time developing our prayer life and learning to be in his presence so we can recognize his voice. If we are doing these things and we have a relationship with God and we don't have a religion, because too many of us as men, when we're pushed and we're pushed and we're challenged by the things in life, one of the first things we say is, hey, don't make me lay down my religion. You ever heard that before when someone said, don't make me lay down my religion? Well, religion is not going to do you any good. But a relationship with God is going to help you to be able to protect your peace and be able to help you to deal with the silent battles that you're struggling with and even battles that you deal openly with. So we have to let God help me and you to build and develop our character. The second thing we need to ask God to help me and you with, if we're going to maximize our manhood and being able to grow and mature as men, we got to work on our communication. We got to work on our communication. Now, when I talk about being able to communicate and to talk effectively with others, I'm not talking about spitting game to a woman. Come on, brothers. Come on, brothers. Those of you who are watching me live on Facebook, those of you who are watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, I'm not talking about spitting game. You know how you wanted to get with a particular woman that you were interested in. You wanted to be able to have the right conversation, the right game that was going to get you to the place where you could win her heart. But what we fail to understand as men, just because you are able to win a woman's heart through the game that you spit, through the playbook that you think you have to be able to know, you need to know how to communicate. It is said that as men, we know how to speak and communicate in bullet points. But when it comes to women, they speak in details. Say that again. If we're going to maximize our manhood, we need to know how to communicate and speak a woman's language and understanding. We speak in bullet points, but women speak in details. What do I mean by that? Woman asks you, how was your day, honey? And how was work today? And what do we say? Good. How are you feeling today? Non-communicative language. How was the event that you went to? Good. Bullet points, highlights, no details. However, when it comes to a woman, and you don't even ask how was her day, she jumps in the car, or you get in the car with her, and she begins to talk. She begins to talk in details. Or you say, honey, what's for dinner? And then she begins to tell you how she left work, went to the supermarket, began to go down the aisle, and she began to see how prices on eggs are going up and how prices on milk is going up, and how she saw such and such in the grocery store, and they begin to talk. And you asked her a simple question, what's for dinner? But what did she give you? Details. You're like, hey, get to the answer of my question. And because we don't grasp this and understand this, when a woman starts to say, I need to have a talk with you, we become fearful of this, and we interpret what she's saying as nagging. Come on, brothers. I know I'm not the only one. Those of you who are watching me live on either Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, I'm not the only one. Let me know in the chat. Give me a hashtag Team Live if this is making sense to you. And so we need to work on our communication. We need to know how to be able to communicate in the language that connects to our woman's heart. Not only do we need to know how to speak and communicate their language that connects to their heart, we need, most importantly, know how to talk and communicate to God. Because when you develop a prayer life and you learn how to communicate with God, He's going to be able to give you the wisdom and season your conversation with grace in how to communicate and to speak her language that touches her heart. The other thing that we have to do in working and developing our communication and maximizing our manhood, we have to make a commitment in being a student of learning again. Because think about it, the more books you begin to read, and the more you, and I'm not talking about getting information, but when we were challenged to read and to learn about a subject in life that was important to us, the more we invested time in watching videos and being a part of webinars or seminars, our communication, based on what we grasped and understood and what we were able to apply in life, our communication began to improve, and we begin to be able to effectively be able to talk with people and be able to speak people's language. Even whether if we're communicating through emails or through text messages. Why? Because we committed ourselves as men to learn and to read. And unfortunately, as we get older, we push away from spending time reading, spending time studying, spending time developing ourselves so we can be better communicators to our wives. And if we are not better communicators when it comes to our children, we wonder why there is a disconnect with being able to communicate with our sons. We wonder why there's a disconnect in being able to communicate with our daughters. And so if we're going to grow and mature and maximizing our manhood as men, we got to work on our character. We have to work on our communication. Not only do we have to work on our communication, but we have to be able to work on our communication where we shift, where we're no longer speaking as children, but we are speaking as mature adult men who are maximizing their manhood. Not only are we speaking with maturity, but we are not having the thought process or the mentality of a child, but the thought process and the understanding as a man. And so you and I have to maximize our manhood. If you are getting great value out of this discussion this morning on 5 tips on helping you to maximize your manhood as a man, do me a favor, whether if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, click that like button for me. Share this conversation this morning, this episode, on the platform that you are on, and leave a comment in the comment section if you are on YouTube, and it'll pop up here on the StreamYard. But if it's a comment on one of the other platforms, we will respond back to you. All right. So we went over the first 2 tips. Let's get to the next tip. If you want to maximize your manhood as a man, you and I have to work on our stewardship. You have to realize life is a gift. Life is a gift. We are not the masters of our own universe, despite what people may try to tell me and you. It's God that woke me and you up this morning. It wasn't the alarm clock that we may have set to get us up this morning, Because truth be told, you probably woke up 5 to 10 minutes early before the alarm clock went off. Your eyes popped open. You begin to breathe. Your body was warm. It's God who breathes into us the breath of life, who gives us the activity of our limbs, who gives me and you the ability to put our feet on the floor. Once again, without the assistance of someone else or through some medical assistance. So it's God who gives us the gift of life. And him giving us the gift of life, the responsibility of life, we have to learn how to be good stewards of it. If we're going to maximize our manhood as men, we have to be good stewards of life that we're given. Because if we are poor stewards of our life, guess what? Our health is affected. If we are poor stewards of our life, our finances are affected. If we are poor stewards of our life, relationships are affected. But we need to learn how to work on our stewardship, in particular of our time, our talent, and our treasure. I'll say that again. Our time, our talent, and our treasure. When we are good stewards of our time, we can be productive, not just at work, but productive in our homes, in our relationships in our marriage, and with our children. But we understand if we are poor stewards of our time and we don't have good time management skills and we are not scheduling things, we're burning both ends of the candle at both ends. And we're constantly tired and we feel like we go to sleep and we still didn't get any rest. Then we wonder why we're burnt out, why we're dealing with burnout. And it's probably because we're being poor stewards of our time. And if you have burnout and if you're a poor steward of your time, then how can you grow and mature in maximizing your manhood? On top of our stewardship of our time, we also have our talents. If we're not being a good steward of the talent, the gift that God has entrusted you with, you do understand that you have a particular gift, or what I call Liam Neeson in the movie Taken, a specific set of skills. Remember in the movie Taken, when the gentleman had taken his daughter and he was on the phone with his daughter and the guy picked up the phone and he began to tell him, say, hey, look, I don't have money. And so whatever you're looking for, hey, you need to let my daughter go. Because if you don't let my daughter go, you're going to find out I have a set of specific skills that you're going to end up to learn up front if you don't release her. And as if you remember the movie, dude didn't release his daughter, and he went over there and he experienced those set of specific skills, and it was over for him. Now, I use that as an example to say you have a set of specific skills. You have a gift as a man, whether if it's communication, whether if it's administration, whether if it's leadership, whether if it's gifts that are creative. You have a gift. And if we are not good stewards of our talent, of our abilities, of what we're passionate about, we're not going to be able to maximize our manhood. We're not going to be able to grow and mature as men. Unfortunately, too many of us, we don't identify what our gift is. We don't understand how we to use our gift. Or if we identify and we understand, we don't share it. We keep it to ourselves. Or we pervert it. Think of the drug dealer for a moment. The drug dealer who knows how to network with other individuals that he can be able to get drugs from out of the country, say in Colombia. If you remember American Gangster with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, Denzel went over to, wasn't Colombia, I think it was during the Vietnam War. He went over there, he negotiated, he was networking with this guy through a cousin of his, And his cousin was like, you can't go all the way up there. He's like, why not? He cut the middleman out who was giving him the drugs, and he went to the source of where it was being produced. He learned how to network. And then he brought the drugs back, the blue magic back, and then he brought it back into the country and he began to distribute. Now, if you see all these things in terms of what the drug dealer was doing, those same skills, that same ability, that same gift to be able to be an entrepreneur, to do something positive was always there, but it was perverted. And so as a result, it was a negative that was bringing harm and death to the community. Now, if you flip that and you're using it for positive and you're doing something positive, it's going to benefit the community. It goes back to what Edwin Lewis Code said. It's about building and developing the man, building and developing the church, building and developing our culture by maximizing our manhood. So we have to be good stewards of our time. We have to be good stewards of our talent. We also have to be good stewards of our treasure. Our treasure. You do know you have a treasure that was placed in your heart since the beginning and the foundation of the world. It's called purpose. It's called purpose. Each and every one of us are born for and with a purpose. And when we begin to discover and find out that purpose by spending and developing our relationship with God, as he reveals and shows us that purpose and how that purpose is to first glorify him and serve his kingdom and benefit and serve others who ultimately point them back to him, we're able to maximize our manhood and grow in maturity. My fourth tip. If this is making sense to you, give me a hashtag making sense on whatever platform you're watching me on this morning. We got to work on our love. We have to learn how to build and develop love in our life. We have to first learn how to understand that God loved us enough and forgave us that we need to love and forgive ourselves. I'll say that again. Not only has God loved and forgiven me and you so that we can have an opportunity to have a relationship with him, we have to learn to love and forgive ourselves. Because when we don't embrace the love and the forgiveness of God, it makes it difficult for us to love and forgive ourselves for the past mistakes that we have made in our life. And then as a result, because there is a lack of trust in trusting others, we don't love and forgive others because our love has conditions to it. But when we work and develop on our love and learning how to have unconditional love, as he has loved us unconditionally, then we can be able to work on keeping our marriage strong. If we're married, we can be able to work and strengthening our relationships with our sons and our daughters because we learn how to love unconditionally. Because the truth of the matter is, people are going to disappoint us. The truth of the matter is, we are going to disappoint people. The truth of the matter is, we are even going to disappoint ourselves. And we need to learn how to love unconditionally if we want to maximize our manhood as men. Not only do we have to work on our ability to love people and to love ourselves, we have to work and develop our faith in God. Our faith in God. Now, I didn't say believing in God, because if you ask most people, they'll say, yeah, I believe in God. Or they'll say, yeah, I go to church. They have a belief there is a God. They believe in going to church. But if you ask them, do they have faith in God? Where you're depending and trusting in God and his will for your life, his purpose for your life. That's where the disconnect is. But when you have faith in God and you learn to grow your faith in God, you're going to learn how to maximize your manhood. One of the best ways you can learn to develop and grow your faith is through your having a relationship with him and learning to go through tests and trials in life. Because you won't really truly know how much a person loves you until you go through things in life. And whether if you go through something where it's regarding legal issues, whether it's regarding health issues, whether if it's regarding marital issues or relationship issues, when you begin to go through things, you grow through things, knowing that the person is with you. And when you get to the other side, your faith is strengthened in that person. Your faith is strengthened in God. Too many of us, we relate and compare God to the mistakes and the failures of people who disappointed us, and we look to him as he's going to do the same thing, when God is not a man that he should lie. But when we build and develop our faith in God, we're able to grow and mature and maximize our manhood as men. Hey, if you're getting great value out of these 5 tips on how to grow and mature your manhood, maximizing your manhood, do me a favor, click that like button for me on whatever platform you're watching this on this morning. Hit that share button. But in particular, if you are on YouTube this morning, I want you to hit that like button, that share button, but also hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the new Real Men Rising YouTube channel, where we help men to raise the standard of manhood in their life so they can be great husbands, devoted fathers, and men of integrity, and be a part of the conversation of real men that's raising the standard of manhood, not just in today's time, but in the generations to come. And so that's the content. And so, question I have for you, those of you who are watching me live or watching the replay this morning, I see some people in the comment section from LinkedIn. I have, get over here right quick. I want to say good morning to Milo Vassett. He's watching me from Serbia. Okay. Hey, sir, I appreciate. I don't know what the time zone is for you over in Serbia. I appreciate the fact that you found this stream here on LinkedIn. I pray that it's added value to you. I pray that it's challenged you in growing and maturing in you as a person. So thanks for being here. But question of the day for you: which of these 5 tips I shared with you that you need to apply in your life so that you can maximize your manhood, so you can be a great husband, a devoted father, and a man of integrity? Let me know in the chat, if you're watching me live, what tip stands out to you. Is it this tip on building and working on your character? And if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn on the replay, let me know. Is it character? Is it communication? Is it stewardship? Is it working on learning how to love people better? Most importantly, learning how to love God and yourself and then others. And is it faith? Let me know in the chat. Because we are living in times now where it's time for men to be men of God. It's time for men to be men of integrity. It's time for men to be men of strong, godly character. Not men who can perform. Because like I said in the open, when I talk about maximizing manhood, I'm not talking about what's below your waist. I'm not talking about your holy Moses, as The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, once said on Raw. Yeah, see, we talk about real manhood issues, about real man talk, about providing real men solutions. So, what's your question? If you got a question for the next few minutes we're here, put a Q in front of the question, a comment, C in front of the comment, and we can have a conversation. And if you're watching the replay, you know what to do. Team replay, leave your question with a Q, leave your comment with a C. Whether if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, we'll respond. So that's the comment. I'm going to stop sharing here. And if there are any others that are in the chat, we wanted to acknowledge you. Let me know where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live. My good man Milo in Serbia, who I'm so grateful, who is watching us live. That's what I love so much about the power of live streaming. This morning we decided to multi-stream, to go not only on YouTube, but Facebook and LinkedIn, and to be able to conversate and talk with individuals like Milo in Serbia, to talk with individuals who are in Cambridge, England, or in Australia and New Zealand. We got to encourage men, and not only men, but women. I understand that 15% of my viewership does come from women who could be a wife, a mother, who has a husband or a son, or a daughter who has a father, a niece who may have an uncle, a man that's important to them because they're concerned about the silent battles that they're going through, and they want to know how to reach them. And so if that's you this morning, if this is connected with you, my sister, let me know in the chat. Give me a hashtag. This is connected to me. Hashtag connected. Make it simple. Hashtag connected. So wanted to share this message. We're going to continue this conversation next week, next Saturday at 12 o'clock, a special time. We're normally live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I had to go live this afternoon at 12 because I had a doctor's appointment. And had to get some medication refilled. But for the most part, the doc said, you're all fine. We just need to do some blood work. And so I have another doctor's appointment next Saturday. So we'll be live again at 12 p.m. So we're going to go live an extra, hour. So those on the West Coast, 3 hours ahead, behind, you can catch us at 9 a.m. Individuals like Milo, you can catch us at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever your appointed time is, you can catch us. And we'll go from there. I don't see any other questions. I don't see any other comments. So we're going to bring this stream to an end. But replay crew, team replay. Hey, let's keep the conversation going. Just trying to click on the right thing. And we want to encourage you to grow, mature in your manhood, because this is the time where real men need to rise up and raise the standard of manhood. We'll see you in the next episode of Man Talk Live. God bless.